The new and final trailer of Babylon released this week, and one thing is clear. Giselle's movies, like Nolan's, are just getting bigger and bigger in terms of scale, budget, and concept. So it felt like a good opportunity to pause and do a quick recap on Damien Chazelle's career before talking about one of his least popular small-scale works. No, it's not the worst movie in the Exorcism series, which surprisingly he co-wrote. After writing that initially in his career, his credibility was so low that he didn't even share the script of Whiplash for a long time until finally getting Jason Blum from Blumhouse interested in the film. But even then, he had to make a proof of concept short film by the same name, and only when that got the acclaim that it needed, the feature was greenlit. And things changed very quickly for Chazelle, especially with the second feature when he proved that he was not some one-hit wonder. Besides creating one of the most controversial moments at the Academy, La La Land was also responsible for making the 31-year-old the youngest person to win the Best Director Oscar. The bar was high after Whiplash, and with La La Land he had delivered and buried any doubts anybody had about him as a filmmaker. But along with that came an obvious next step, to take the bar higher, with a $100 million budget for First Man. First Man needed that kind of money because it was combining two genres. One was a big sci-fi spectacle and the other was a rooted, realistic biopic. But obviously this video is not about any of the big films in Chazelle's career. And no, it's not about the Exorcism movie that he co-wrote either. This video is about the Eddy.
This is all I got. You understand? This is it.
The Eddy is an 8-episode limited series that slid in on Netflix right in the middle of 2020. And we all know what that year was like. Given the niche nature of the series and barely any PR, only true Damien Chazelle fans must have found it on Netflix, and even truer fans must have watched the whole thing. The show was not created by Chazelle. The first 2 episodes were directed by him, and he served as an executive producer on the rest of the show, but you can still spot the filmmaker's inputs straight from the first few minutes of the pilot. The Eddy is centered around a jazz club in Paris, which makes sense because jazz is something that is prominent in his work straight from his debut. The narrative in the Eddy is structured in an almost Rashomon-like way. Each episode has a new primary character as its protagonist, which is great because you don't even need to take out 6 or 8 hours to binge it. You can watch it like an anthology as long as you watch it in chronological order. They have a brilliant ensemble of French and American actors to pull off being a new protagonist in a new episode. All of them are instantly likable for you to invest in them. Especially Andre Holland as Elliot Udo. And it's always fun when many of these character-driven stories interconnect and intersect with each other. This is also visible in Chazelle's La La Land, where both the primary characters' intros play out first during their traffic jam meet cute before getting into the second act. The Eddy is a French-American musical drama, but it's nothing like the Hollywood musical La La Land is. People don't jump into song and dance here. Most of the music is organically weaved in the narrative like it would in a real jazz club. It's also more gritty, especially as Elliot Udo's American daughter navigates the underbellies of Paris as she stays with her father. And because it's French-American, it shifts back and forth between the two languages, which is how it should be. It doesn't feel natural and feels less authentic when a character is talking in English or Hindi when their true language is Punjabi, Tamil, or in this case French. While talking about the bear in one of the previous videos, Damien Chazelle's Whiplash was also brought up, and one of the other reasons for comparing the two was this show also. The Eddy's Elliot Udo is a former American jazz musician who is trying to keep his club and his in-house jazz band afloat. Just like Carmi from The Bear, who has an emotional connection with the restaurant he's forced to run due to a recent tragedy. The only difference here is, the focus is more on the music than the food. Without revealing any spoilers, the Eddy too deals with a tragedy in the lead character's life, which is why he's been in Paris away from his daughter and ex-wife trying to run a doomed jazz club. The Eddy is a great addition in the genre of a private business owner struggling to keep up with everyday problems thrown at them while they continue to persist and persevere. So to sum up, here's what you should know before watching the Eddy. It's Damien Chazelle's first TV series and first collaboration. A great bilingual cast. Andre Holland, Amanda Stenberg, and Joanna Kulig particularly stand out. It has a great sound design and music, especially if you're a fan of jazz. It's unpredictable and engaging for the most part. You won't be able to guess how one character's journey will end in one episode. And lastly, the series may not be for everyone, but if you're a Damien Chazelle fan and didn't know about the show, then go for it irrespective of some of the criticism that came in its way. You can watch the show on Netflix in India, and hopefully Damien Chazelle will deliver with his 4th and biggest feature yet. But one also hopes that going forward we see works and collaborations like the Eddy to coexist along with the filmmakers' large-scale canvases. After Tenet and Oppenheimer, a small-scale series is probably what Nolan should also explore, so he goes back to his roots when he made things like Following and Memento. If nothing else, who knows, it'll help people forget Tenet.